Good morning to everyone. Wherever you are, Jakut Power Government brings you greetings from the academic throne. I am back to continue with the lecture on the political history of Ghana, which I started about 3 months ago. And having started this lecture on the political history of Ghana, I have been looking at a particular administrative system that the British colonial government adopted to administer her colonies. And this system is what we termed as the Crown Colony System. As I promised last week, I am here this morning to look at the functions or the rules of the colonial governor. But by the way, who was the colonial governor? The colonial governor was a British official who was appointed by the Queen and stationed in any of the colonies to administer the colony on behalf of the British colonial government. The colonial governor therefore acted as a head of state on behalf of the British monarch. In view of this, he was tasked with the responsibility of administering the colony. Now, if we want to look at the functions or rules of the colonial governor, here we go. Function number 1. In his capacity as the head of state of the colony over which he served as the governor, he exercised certain ceremonial functions. Which specific ceremonial functions did the colonial governor exercise or perform? He served as the commander-in-chief of the local troops, and he also exercised the royal prerogative of mercy. That is, he could pardon convicted criminals. Function number 2. The colonial governor also served as the president of both the legislative and executive councils. If you are watching this video for the first time, the legislative and the executive councils were important government institutions that were created to support the colonial governor to administer the colony. And we are saying that as part of his functions, he served as the president of these two important institutions called the executive and the legislative council. As a result of this, the colonial governor was therefore given the power to preside over the meetings of the legislative and executive council as his president. The colonial governor also had the power of appointment. And with his power of appointment, he appointed the members of the executive and the legislative councils. That is to say that he appointed all the members of the executive council, and the members of the legislative councils who were not elected, we call them non-elective members of the legislative council. He also appointed these non-elective members of the legislative council. Moreover, the colonial governor also prepared national budgets for the colony over which he administered. Why do we prepare national budget? We prepare national budgets to promote socio-economic growth of a country. So we are therefore saying that to promote or ensure socio-economic growth of the colony he served as the governor, the colonial governor was therefore tasked to prepare a national budget or the fiscal policy of that colony. The colonial governor also executed public works or public projects. That is, it was the job of the colonial governor to ensure that the colony had roads, railway lines, harbours, etc., etc., hospitals. So that is another thing, another function the colonial governor also performed. That is, he executed all major public works like construction of roads, construction of railway lines, construction of harbours, construction of hospitals. The colonial governor also formulated and implemented policies. If we should ask generally, why do we formulate and implement policies? We formulate and implement policies to ensure the effective administration of a territory. So we are therefore saying that to ensure the effective administration of the colony that the colonial governor administered, he was tasked with the responsibility of formulating and implementing policies. Moreover, the colonial governor also passed laws in the form of ordinances. What we are talking about here is that laws were passed in the form of ordinances, just as we pass our laws in the form of parliamentary acts. They passed their laws in the form of what? Ordinances. And we are saying that it was the colonial governor that ensured that laws were passed for the general administration of the colony. And the colonial governor performed this lawmaking function through the advice of the Legislative Council. That is, the Legislative Council advised the colonial governor to pass laws in the form of ordinances for the effective administration of the colony. In line with this, the colonial governor also adopted a new constitution whenever it became necessary for the introduction of a new constitution. The colonial governor also performed military functions. Yes, as I said earlier on, he was the commander-in-chief of the colonial troops. That is, the colonial governor was the commander-in-chief of the local troops. Just as Nanado, the president of Ghana, is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the colonial governor was also made to serve as the commander-in-chief of the colonial troops. As a result of this, he had the powers to commit the colonial troops to any course of action. He also promoted senior military officers. The colonial governor also performed other functions, like in his relationship with the judiciary, he performed the following functions. That is, he had a hand in the appointment of the head of the judiciary. He did not appoint the head of the judiciary, but he had a hand in the appointment of the head of the judiciary. The colonial governor also exercised the royal prerogative of mercy as his judicial function. Moreover, he sanctioned the appointment of all judges and magistrates. In his relationship with our chiefs, the colonial governor also performed certain functions in that regard. What did he do? Through the gazetting system, he exercised some control over our chiefs. That is, whenever a chief was installed or schemed, the colonial governor was empowered to publish it in the newspapers, recognizing the installment or scheming of such a chief. And that is what we call to gazette a chief. And we are saying that through this gazetting system, the colonial governor exercised some form of control over our chiefs. That is, our traditional authorities. They came to meet. the colonial governor also controlled or regulated how the chiefs collected taxes in their various native authority areas. Moreover, the chiefs served as presiding judges of the native courts that were set up. So the colonial governor also regulated how the chiefs presided over these native courts. Another important function of the colonial governor that I almost left behind is the fact that the colonial governor prepared annual reports on the executive and the legislative council. These reports were prepared on the executive and legislative council by the colonial governor to get the British colonial government abreast with the happenings in the colony. In summary, I want to draw curtains on the functions of the colonial governor, just to make the video very brief. But then, to promote these lectures or discussions on the political history of Ghana, watch, share by way of promoting it. Now, to your right of your desk or phone, smartphone if you are using it, there is a small triangle. When you click on it and it turns round and you begin to scroll up, I will put the lecture notes of this discussion under it so that you can read and follow. Remember, my students, I told you that I suspect that WAEC may set questions on the functions of the colonial governor. Don't joke with it. Watch and watch and watch till it sinks. Now, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel called Jakut Power Government, that is designed to promote political history of Ghana among our SHS students, our university students, and the Ghanaian public in general, please subscribe. Share on Facebook, share everywhere you can share, so that Jakut Power Government and his team will be encouraged to release more videos on the political history of Ghana for our SHS history and government students and the Ghanaian public in general. Until then, I salute everyone. Remember, without you, we cannot make progress as far as the lecture on this channel is concerned. I wish you all the best. Take care.